When I was 17, I backpacked through Europe. There, I experienced a place that truly tolerates the sale and use of marijuana. That place is Amsterdam. Located all around the city are what are known as coffee shops. These are to marijuana what pubs are to alcohol. Public, social environments, places of thought and conversation. During that time and since, I've come to understand what that city understands about marijuana, its potential. I aim to illustrate today through a discussion of the health, economic, and societal effects of legalization that the United States should end the federal prohibition of marijuana. In 1974, California Governor Ronald Reagan was asked about decriminalizing marijuana. This inquiry produced the Heath-Tulane study, which concluded that monkeys smoking the equivalent of 30 joints a day began to atrophy and die after 90 days. Thus, the great communicator was able to proclaim brain damage is one of the inevitable results of the use of marijuana, and for a long time, many mistakenly believed him. It took 6 years of requests to find out any information about the methodology of this study. At long last, it came to light that the true methods involved strapping monkeys into a chair, pumping them with the equivalent of 63 Colombian-strength joints in, quote, 5 minutes through gas masks, losing no smoke. In truth, it was not marijuana that caused the brain damage. It was oxygen deprivation. According to the World Health Organization, the #1 killer in this country beat out all of the deaths caused by alcohol, hard drugs, infectious diseases, car accidents, and murder combined. With upwards of 400,000 deaths every year, tobacco is the #1 killer in this country. Ruling out obesity and weight-related issues, the #2 killer is alcohol, with about 100,000 deaths annually. Even aspirin overdose is responsible for hundreds of deaths every year. So how many deaths are caused by marijuana? 0. There is not a single case in the extensive medical literature describing a single proven documented cannabis-induced fatality. This is according to Dr. Lester Grinspoon, Professor of Psychiatry Emeritus of Harvard Medical School. It is literally impossible to overdose. Despite upwards of 20 to 50 million recreational smokers in this country, there is simply not a single credible source that suggests that marijuana-only use has ever caused a single death. There would, of course, have to be regulation. There is some evidence to suggest that heavy, long-term use throughout childhood has the potential to negatively affect brain development and exacerbate symptoms of schizophrenia later on in life in those with a genetic predisposition for the disorder. However, those people who didn't take up marijuana until they became an adult did not show similar mental declines. It's only natural that such a substance should be treated the same as alcohol and tobacco. As long as you do not put others at risk, the choice should be yours. In addition, many also claim that the use of marijuana invariably opens the door to use of other drugs. This is known as the gateway theory of marijuana, or the stepping stone hypothesis. In truth, it is a logical fallacy. This connection was created by the criminalization of marijuana in the first place. By grouping cannabis in with harder drugs, you place both in the hands of those dealing in the black market. Statistics actually showed that more people are far more likely to begin using harder drugs after alcohol or tobacco than marijuana. Cannabis also falls at the bottom of the list as far as addictive potential goes. It poses no withdrawal symptoms of any kind. Nicotine is the most addictive substance, alcohol a close second. Even caffeine is biologically more addicting than marijuana. Marijuana is habituating, not addictive. Knowing all this, the question arises, why was it criminalized in the first place? You see, early on in the 20th century, yellow journalism surfaced. The journalists of the era coined the term reefer madness. They painted blacks and Mexicans as, quote, frenzied beasts who would smoke marijuana, play devil's music, and heap disrespect and viciousness on the reader. They also claimed that marijuana influenced Negroes to look at a white man in the eye, step on a white man's shadow, even look at a white woman twice. Paired with the religious movement against alcohol, the government control of substances began. At the advent of prohibition in the early 20th century, the nation exploded in a huge wave of substance abuse issues, violence, and widespread disrespect for the law. At the peak of the era, there were more illegal speakeasies than there are legal bars and taverns now. Since then, criminals, gangs, cartels, and the like have run rampant, chasing after the enormous profit potential of marijuana in the black market, estimated at about $7 billion. At the same time, drug enforcement has become its own industry, a self-perpetuating big business. America's privatized prison industry is one of the most rapidly expanding industries in the entire nation. Since the mid-1990s, violent crimes and burglary have steadily declined. What has skyrocketed is arrests for drug offenses, in particular marijuana. In 2011, 50% of federal inmates were incarcerated on drug offenses, compared to, say, 4.2% for robbery or 2.7% for kidnapping, burglary, and assault. Replacing marijuana prohibition with a system of taxation and regulation would provide a combined tax savings and revenue of between $10 to $14 billion annually, according to Dr. Jeffrey Myron, visiting professor of economics at Harvard University. And this doesn't even take into account the industrial side of the plant. You see, until just this last century, cannabis was one of the largest agricultural crops in the world because it can be used to create hemp, the most robust, durable, natural soft fiber on the face of the planet. Hemp is such a critical crop that the first law regarding it was enacted in 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia, and it actually ordered farmers to grow hemp. Benjamin Franklin used hemp to start one of the very first paper mills. The first 2 copies of the Declaration of Independence were written on hemp paper. It's clear that there are vast amounts of potential to be found in all aspects of cannabis. At the very least, why isn't this up for discussion? In short, marijuana is not the threat it has been painted as. It brings a great deal of positive medical and mental benefits to those who use it. If legalized, it would not only boost the economy, but benefit society as a whole. I leave you with a quote from renowned astronomer, astrophysicist, and author Carl Sagan, who states that the illegality of cannabis is outrageous, an impediment to the full utilization of a drug, which helps produce the serenity and insight, sensitivity and fellowship so desperately needed in this increasingly mad and dangerous world. Legalize marijuana. Thank you.